Hello, welcome to Module 4, our Unit 4 introduction that will run, or this unit will go from July 28th to August the 3rd. This unit will be available as soon as you have completed Unit 3, but it won't be open until Friday. Um, Yeah, because I can't open the units too early or else we get in trouble. But this is the same as last week's unit where we will continue a discussion of differentiating different content areas. But I really like this week because it brings back to mind some of the things that I struggle with as a student. I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I was a advanced learner from middle school, and then when I got into eighth grade, something changed. We had a lot of teacher changeover and turnover, and a lot of substitutes, and then we also had a strike. So I had huge gaps in my math development, and I recall never quite getting it together as far as with math. So why does this matter? Well, I went into high school and I graduated early, but I graduated with deficiencies before they required in our state. We've always had the end of course exam in New York, but before they required a certain percentage, I was able to get out within 3 years because I knew that I had so many gaps with math. That I would never have caught up, not within the time frame that I had. So I had taken every single course possible, and I just could not get math. And this kind of brings to light why math differentiation is critical, just like with science, building from skills. And one of the things that the article talks about, which we'll get into a little bit, is that you never really know the skills that students aren't coming with or the gaps that they have. So it is like it's vital for educators who teach math to apply differentiation so that they can not only acknowledge those gaps but help students build beyond those gaps. And unfortunately, I had a lot of substitutes, so they didn't really understand what that meant for them and also how to do that. So I left high school with a lot of deficiencies because my teachers weren't equipped to build from the gaps and go beyond and differentiate while meeting the needs of other students. So from this unit, I'm really hoping that even if you're not a math teacher, that you're able to see how to apply instruction within the zone of proximal development, which is important for any subject area, and then also how to assess students' needs and align assessments that match diversified instruction. So yes, we're talking about math. However, the objectives and the learning outcomes are pretty much the same for each of the weeks, meaning that by the end you can hopefully develop teaching strategies that differentiate and allow your content area to be accessible to all students regardless of their ability or their accessibility needs. The readings for this week are pretty simple. I added one more reading, which is kind of long, but I don't expect you to read it all in one sitting. It's really a chapter I took from a McGraw book that was online, free access, that you can look at and explore. They talk about specific lesson building practices that differentiated instruction approaches should have within them, and I thought it was a pretty cool example just to walk through it and see what they have in their lessons versus what you would have in yours, and then adapt some of those practices. I love doing that. As an educator, I always look at what others have done and what they're doing so well, because then I learn from what they're doing and build from there. So by the end of this week, your midterm project is due, and this wraps up the first half of the course with a full discussion of differentiation within math. So that discussion obviously will be with you and yourself and the content, because I took away the discussion board and also anything else that didn't align with the midterm project, meaning I didn't want you to have to do an extreme amount of extra work. So hopefully that works out for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me right away. It's best to email prior to the due date of the August 3rd instead of like the day of or the day before. Also, if you're having trouble with your midterm project, if I don't see that you've turned it in by the due date, I'm gonna actually email you just to reach out and ask you if you need anything, because I want to return those at least by Wednesday so that you can have 2 or 3 days to make the corrections and then turn it in by Sunday. That concludes the introduction. I hope that you enjoyed the approaches that are going to be discussed in the next lecture because they're really useful. Have a great rest of your day.